And hello everyone, this is Tom Geisler and this is my ASD journey. I'm going to specifically call this, maybe just one time, this program, this presentation, Autism in the Balance. And the reason I did all this is because I was asked to do a presentation, and originally it was basically, what was your story? How did you find out about that you were autistic? And it's through the National Autism Society, and it will probably mostly, I'm guessing, because the National Autism Society seems to work primarily with school-age kids, and not exclusively. I don't think that's there, and that's local. That's I'm talking about my chapter or whatever it's called, and I'm just kind of half remember somebody talking about another group that is more adults working on things. So I don't want to say that exclusively about the Autism Society, but locally here tend to be for the kids, and but I know that's one reason they wanted. That's why I'm actually on the board there. They wanted me to start trying to branch out into the adults, and especially some of the late diagnosed adults, because that's more and more adults are burning out and going, what the heck is going on? And they're saying, hey, well, guess what? Surprise. Anyway, back to what this is. It's a presentation, and I'm going to sort of go back into the thinking that I had why I chose what I did. When I was an interpreter and worked with an interpreter in sign language, that process of learning two languages that were so different, one's based in vision and concepts that are visual, the other one is based on an auditory linear stream of symbols that we piece together in a structure that we call English, and one of them is sounds, one of them is concepts, and the closest thing I remember reading that is similar to sign language is Chinese in written form, in calligraphy, I guess right to left, that each little symbol combines, it's a concept that then combines with the next concept, so that you may say tree, and tree outdoors. Well, of course, indoors. I guess you could be indoor tree, but the symbols are going to be. It's a series of concepts, so it's like tree outdoors burning, So it may be tree something in fire, and I'm just throwing this, and so that, but it depends on how they're written, the strokes, whether it's if it's a precise, if it's flowing, or and this is the concept I have now. Someone Chinese is going to give me the what and wherefore, because they're going to say, "Ow, you're wrong." But that's how I understood it. Long story. So there we go. Bing, tangent. Okay. So back to sign language. Okay. Well, it's because I have had to learn how to go back and forth between two languages like that. And as I was going through, why is this? There's this disconnect. Why is it that you can give a presentation about autism and people go away and they make that aren't autistic, and they go away with the same concepts. They didn't really. They may have altered their thoughts, but there's a disconnect there. So what is it? Well, it's autism. People with autism, because of their neurological difference, connect on the meanings of things differently because they experience life differently. If I was to say, let's see if I can pick out a good example. If I was to say, if I was to say grocery shopping, a person that is not autistic would probably think of different places to go and who has a better selection, has a better prices, which one's closer, which one's blah, blah, blah. Okay. And they're thinking of a practicality thing and how to get to a grocery store and all that kind of stuff. Someone autistic, now I'm not saying this is everyone autistic, but somebody who has a very, who is now, I don't use the word struggling. It sounds like, although it can be, but I mean, it's part of their life. It's like, okay, it's a person who has a sensory, heightened senses, that light bothers them, noise bothers them, smells bother them, temperature bothers them, and these are, they think grocery store and they go, okay, it's a totally different impact it has on them. We all are instinctually trying to survive. We're trying to live. We're trying to stay biologically alive, and that is a balance that everything else is. That's the basis of our behavior. Yeah, we've got the intellectual side, and we do stupid things, but the bottom line is, it's like the person in a survival situation, I mean, they're not worried about the grocery store anymore. They're worried about, food, water, shelter, safety, whatever. And, but the concepts then are different, autistic, non-autistic. But the one thing that will sort of bridge those together is that both people understand balance. They both understand that need, the need to fulfill the needs. Biologically, it's food, water, temperature. I'm trying to think of some other things that just the kind of that your heart rate and your blood pressure, or that's blood, and your whole endocrine system and blah blah blah. All that stuff is like sitting there, being imbalanced, and it has to rebalance, and so it's you're in a constant back and forth of balance and imbalance. What I'm trying to do with actually showing scales and doing this is trying to get a concept and show and have, because if you understand this basic principle and then build upon the understanding of autism, or for autistic people to build upon the neurotypical perspective, and to remember that each side is seeing what this is where language fails us in us trying to communicate about each other, is that I say, you say grocery shopping, and it's a different concept to someone else. This is autistic. So anyway, that's where I'm basing this on. Okay, 9 minutes in. Whew. Okay, let's hurry this up. What I have here is a series of, that's not a collection of, these are weights for scales, okay? 200 gram down to, I think, 10 milligram. Pretty small weights. And yes, the scale will actually, we'll get into the milligrams. Actually, another one I have over there is more sensitive than this one. I was actually going to use that one too, because the reality of it is, not only are autistic people, well, I can show that on this too, I guess. As I say, there's the concept of not only is what throws you off balance and how you rebalance yourself different. The concept of things is perceived differently, and how they are stressful. But being that the autistic system is also very, very sensitive, you're talking about the difference. I'm just going to see. Actually, my little whatchamacallits. They actually have little tweezers. Some of the things are so small. Do you need to pick up? This is 100 milligrams. in weight. Okay? It's enough to throw this off that much, which is about, well, you can see it moving. Okay. This is 500 grams. Okay? That's what's that? I have to do, that's 500 times 10. That's 5,000 times heavier than that. Is that right? So let me do my math here. 500 grams, 100 milligrams. If that was, anyway. So my point is that the autistic mind and body is used to dealing with a sensitivity level to where 100 milligrams matters. Not that 100 milligrams doesn't matter to someone neurotypical, but the number of things that are influential at that level are much greater for somebody who is autistic than somebody who's neurotypical. And of course, there's exceptions to every rule. I mean, there's autistic people that, and I'm one of them, that are not as sensory sensitive. I find that I am, and I'm surprised how much I am. I'm also surprised. It's one of the things that when I was taking this time off and sort of just detaching and just being able to sort of be with myself and feel what I feel and all this other stuff, it became more and more apparent how I'm affected with the alexithymia, how I'm not able to identify feelings, what's causing them, what the emotions are behind them. And what the problem that for me is that things build up, or I'm totally unaware of why I'm crying, or why I'm tired. It starts manifesting as extremes. Why is it when I'm doing something in the kitchen and something that I thought I set down here, I set down over there, or something I'm looking for I thought was red is blue, and I'm looking right past it, and I'm spending a minute or 2 minutes looking for something I just had in my hand. And I just get so angry. I get so frustrated. And I know that it's not that I misplaced something. There's something else that's bothering me, and there are other things going on in my life that are very stressful issues. But I tend to go la 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 la, and see, this is how I dealt with everything, and that's what I'm trying to learn to undo, is not deal with everything by denial or ignoring it, or it's facing it. But first, I have to feel it. So I'm gonna get back to that. So, bing, tangent. So back to, and what do I end? That's another 4 minutes. So the sensitivity of people is also, of autistic people, is also an issue here. There's another whole set of factors that I set this board over here. I got to get. All right. Oh, sorry, that was a big clunk, clunk, clunk. I hit the mic. This is something I did for the presentation to see if I can get this in an area where you can see it and I can look at it too. Okay. When we're talking about balance, we're talking about it's stress. If fight or flight, and this is something I was always thinking it was somebody else, and then I'm realizing it really is. It's something that, and I think this is true of everyone. This is what stress is leading up to. Is it bad enough that it's life-threatening? And a lot of times, it's not rational, but I think autistic people will have, because their system is so sensitive, and it's sensitive not just intellectually, I mean, it's not just what we think about, it's the way our bodies respond. Two things that we don't really have. It doesn't matter what you think, it's what your body is telling you. So if your body is saying run, if your body is saying be quiet, or it's fight, flight, or freeze, you're either going to confront what's going on, you're going to run away from it, or you're going to be so scared that you basically freeze up. And that's what that's what I'm trying to undo. I'm trying to thaw out. Okay. Back to the board here. There's so much total energy you have in a day, or any given time if you sleep during the day, whatever. But so everybody's going to, let's say in the morning you get up, you start out here, and the perfect world is that you start in the green, you stay in the green. There's no stress in your life. Well, this isn't the perfect world. So when you're thinking about, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a scenario. It's a real scenario. This is a friend of mine who's autistic in Australia, and I'll go into this. She wrote out a scenario that we're going to go through on the scales. But depending on the person, depending on how well they can manage stress, how well you can cope, what's your coping energy, what is the stressor, and how much is it built up? Just because you say you're coping, and I mean, this is what I was doing. I was down here, I won't say the percentages, because I don't know what that is. I really don't know how to quantify that. But let's just say I was carrying a 70% stress. That was my normal. And because I would not feel what's going on. That's what the alexithymia does. It kind of lets you function in this level or lower, and you're saying the world's still hunky-dory because you're in denial of what you're feeling. And it comes out in ulcers. It comes out in all this semantic rerouting of stress into whatever, and you don't acknowledge it. You don't deal with it. And that's what I'm trying to do, is start feeling it so I can go, yeah, I don't like this, whatever this is. And then eventually it comes out. Eventually it's like, it's something with work. I mean, it's something with a relationship with someone. It's something with physically being, what was this? One of the things that happened to me this summer was I thought I was talking to my sister because I was getting these pains in the side, and she had diverticulitis, so she was telling me about the symptoms, and I'm going, that sounds like what I have, Well, a couple times, 3 times actually, I woke up and I was thinking, this feels like kidney. No, it doesn't feel like my kidney. I've had kidney stones, and it's like, I think it's intestinal. Long story short, was I went through 2 bouts of a long day, like a 6, 8, 10-hour day, in a lot of pain until I thought it was something that was passing with, I had eaten something bad. And it seemed to resolve. Well, the last time it happened, it was about 10 hours, and I was just about to the point I could not drive. Well, I thought, this is not getting better. So I went into the ER. And here I found out I had a ureter that had a 9 millimeter stone in the ureter, blocking that ureter to the point where the kidney was so back pressured that it was leaking out through the kidney and into my abdomen. Well, I was in bad shape. I was in some pretty bad shape. They just put a stent in and drained the kidney, and it was like instant relief. Well, close to it. I sure felt a lot better. But see, I didn't mentally. I wasn't able to go. You're in trouble. 5 hours before that or something. Anyway. Bing! Tangent, okay? So here we are back. Oh, God. 20 minutes into this. So let's get back into the whole idea of the balance, okay? My friend from Australia is very sensitive to... She's just stresses out very easy, and the sensory-wise, it's just that she is one of these people that we're all autistic people seem to be constantly processing. And her stress level, if I got my board out again, her stress level was always pretty high. She deals with it, but she's so sensitive to being thrown back into it, and then her energy of dealing with it goes really quick. There's somebody wrote an article once. It was called, I don't remember what it was called, but they referred to the idea of how much energy you have in a day, and calling them how many spoons you have. And so if you go to the grocery store, it takes X number of spoons. You go, somebody comes to the door, it takes, something unexpected happens, your routine changes, and all this kind of thing. And this is where your energy for the day just keeps getting chopped into. And if the wrong things happen, that day's worth of energy can only last you the first hour or two of your day, and you're done. That's what I'm going to try to show here. Okay, so grocery store. Okay, the neurotypical person, or even me to a certain degree, it doesn't really bother me to go to the grocery store. I'm not that. I don't have the sensory things. I remember being bothered by things, but it didn't completely drain me of energy to be around it. So me even will say, okay, yeah, go to the store. Sure, I'll go to the store. Now, these 2 pages is what she goes through. This is her routine. This is how she manages to go to a store. And I just want to sort of go through the idea here. One of the important things too, they talk about restrictive, repetitive behaviors as characteristic of autism, and most people think of those as some sort of stemming, some sort of just doing something repetitive. It can be, I think, even echolalia becomes a sort of a stem. It can be that sometimes there's self-abusive stems where you're hitting yourself, but it could be something. It could be just pouring water into a glass, or it could be looking at something that's sparkly and just holding it up. And I should show you what I bought. I've got sand dials that I bought. I bought a series of them. Actually got them for the lecture, but I'm fascinated by them, and they're different colors, and they sparkle, and they're cool. And it's like I'm letting myself enjoy things that I enjoy. Anyway, so that's a stem. That's a repetitive behavior. That's something that I can sit there for whatever length of time and just watch the sand. It's relaxing. It's soothing. So anyway, tangent. Bing. So this is a grocery store. Okay. Yeah, for me, okay, it's like that. This is now. I'm going to take my little gram off of there. And let's start with my friend in Australia. And she wrote this out in a really cool way, because she knew what I was doing with the scales. And she wrote in green. I'm sort of see if I can let that. You can see where she started. She started in green, and what green means is this is the optimum scenario. And then red is this is the stress coming in. And blue is what do I do to counter that stress. So let me go through some of these. Okay, so waking up is the first topic, and stress-free if you can just do it naturally. You go to bed and, okay, I had my night's sleep. That's the best way to start the day. But if you do have to set an alarm, okay, bing, okay, it's going to be a stress she has to deal with. Is that alarm going off? And it's significant. It's not just like I don't want to get up. It is this being startled by the alarm automatically starts you into that fight-flight feeling. It's not rational. It's not, but it's your body going, because this is, I said I'm not that sensitive, but I startle. Not alarms, but I've been sitting in rooms before, and there'll be something, the furnace kicks on, and it does a little, and I'm just like, and it's just like somebody's slapped their hands behind me. I mean, it's like somebody was behind me and scared me, and I mean, like startled me, because I feel it through my whole body, and it's almost like and I've said, I mean, it's some explicatives, you know. I mean, something that minor happened on me, like, holy, it's like my reaction was so out of proportion to what the sound was, but it was like, it's just how I reacted. So anyway, I'm trying to get neurotypical people to understand that, yeah, okay, here she is saying, the alarm. Well, it may be, I pulled a 2 gram. Let's just say it's a 20. Let's push it up to 20. Bang. Okay. Just the alarm. Okay. So she's got to find something that could ruin her day if she doesn't find a balance for it. So yes, she found a balance for it. Okay. What is her balance? Make sure that you get enough sleep and go to bed early that night. You know, if you know you have an alarm that's going to be going off, you can, and it's interesting now that I think of it. I find that, and maybe this is just true with everyone. This is, I don't know what non-autistic people think and do a lot of times, but yeah, it really messes me up if not in the same way. I'm going on another tangent, but I'm just trying to say that. The stress of knowing I have to get up with an alarm throws off my night. Just knowing that I have to, I mean, I think that's true with everyone, that weekends you do better than you do work days. So there's kind of a natural thing there, but is it enough to throw off your sleep? And do you get up at night and if I get up to go to the bathroom in the night, and I know, I mean, I had to consciously go through this over a process of years, maybe decades, to where I went, okay, wait a second. Okay, I got this now. If I go to bed at 10 o'clock and I have to be at work at 9, that gives me, 9 hours? I think that's what it is. Because I have to get up early to go to work, So I have to get up, let's say, at 7:30. So 11 to 7, that's 8 hours. If I get up 10, that gives me 9. If I get up to go to the bathroom, okay, that means if I don't take a certain amount of time, then I can go back to bed, and hopefully if I get right back to sleep, then I can have my 8 hours of sleep. If not, what I used to do is I go, okay, shoot, I've got 3.5 hours. And I used to lie there going, you got to get to sleep. You've only, or it was like, that's not enough. It's only 3.5 hours. I'm just going into this to show you that it was not, there was an adjustment. And I finally, over the years, I said, okay, when I take a nap, sometimes an hour is plenty of sleep just to take the edge off of it. I've got 3, or I've got 2.5 left, or I've got 2 left. If I couldn't get to sleep, because it would compound. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm only going to have 4 hours of sleep. And the more upset I get, then forget it. And then my day is stressful. Anyway, bing, tangent. So, my friend, what'd she do? So she makes sure she prepares for that, that she knows she can have to use an alarm the next day. Temperature is another thing for her. Okay, this is not to say that it is not important, but I don't have all the weights in the world. So let's say, okay, temperature ends up throwing her out of balance. So what does she do? She just knows that she can turn up the heat and turn up the heat really high, and so that she can get the house really warm, and she doesn't chill. Now, I am going to go on this tangent, because this is something that has happened to me a number of times, and it is always, and it was actually sort of, I don't know if I would say frightening. I guess I would say it is, as it is during the time. What it is usually in the winter months, and I used to keep the house cooler. And I don't anymore. But if I close the door to the bedroom, it doesn't heat as much as the rest of the house. Anyway, there's times I'll be lying there and I'll wake up and I'll realize that I'm chilled. But it's a chill that all of a sudden starts to become, my body's shaking. And I'm just like, my jaw is shaking, and I am just like, consciously I'm going, I'm in danger. My body is telling me I'm in danger. And it's not, apparently it isn't rational. I mean, it isn't rational. I don't know. I mean, it feels real. It feels like I am in the beginning stages of hypothermia. And I've realized over time, because I used to lie there and try to get warm, because last time it was like the blanket fell on the ground. I mean, just the idea of lifting the sheet up and having cold air hit my body was an overwhelming feeling. It's like, no, don't do that. You're already at the edge of death. If you do that again, it's going to kill you. I mean, it's almost the irrational thinking that goes on. Well, I have learned to intellectually go, no, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. It's going to be unpleasant for a few seconds. You got to get out of bed. You got to either pick up your blanket, you got to get into the blanket to cover yourself, and then you'll be warm, and you'll find that as soon as you get those few degrees, whatever that feeling gone, you're going to be okay. And that's what I did. So I'm going to assume the same thing's happening to her. She wakes up, and she's too cold. She doesn't rebalance. She's not as resilient as I am in being able to rebalance, which is a really key factor in a lot of people. It's like, okay, yeah, they may have a solution, they may have a way to rebalance themselves, but it may not be like, okay, put the other balance on and I'm fine now. It is, I was just through a traumatic experience. It may take me 5-10 minutes or more to calm down and think and and get back onto my routine. Okay, now on top of that, we balance ourselves, we balance our temperature, and how am I feeling? Am I ill or am I tired? Did I get enough sleep? Stress, bang, okay, go back to my chart again. Coping, energy, stress, those two are battling it out, and the lower they go and the harder it is to get back up there, the faster your daily energy goes down. And so feeling physically ill, and what does she do? She's going to choose, this is for the groceries, if she's too tired or not feeling good to be able to go pick them up, then she can see if she can choose a later time to go. And what she can also do is get more sleep, if she's tired or if she's ill. So she's got that solution. This is where routine, this is that, I had started on this, I think I went on a tangent and didn't come back, but this is where routine becomes so important, because you need predictability in order to balance hundreds of milligrams. Remember, I'm using big weights here just because I can pick them up. If I had to use tweezers for all this, it'd be like just a little bit. Now, on the other scale, and this is why I was going to use that other scale, 100 milligrams, it bends this one a little bit, it imbalances it a little bit. That one, it imbalances a lot. But as long as you got that concept, is that, we're talking about a more sensitive system with the autistic system, so that it's not even, it's, ouch, you were clawing me, don't do that. That hurt. See, yeah, that hurt. I mean, it's not, surprised me. Don't, though, okay? I know you are bored. He knows when I'm not paying attention to him. Sorry, Timmy. All right, buddy, you hold on. I'll get with you. Back on my thoughts here. The sensitivity. I think I covered that already. Okay. Well, let's just go down through her daily routine, because I think you get the concept at this point on. Okay, calling. Make sure that the order's been, all the items are available. She calls them in. I take it the day before, or sometime before. And she calls in and says, what throws her off then is something is out of stock. There's a breaking in that routine. She finds balance. I do this too. I would say everybody. I think everybody does it to a certain degree. But it's what it does to your fight-flight system. Are you literally? I mean, because when you're that stressed, it is just completely using up your energy. So anyway, okay. If an item is out of stock, how does she cope with that? Okay, I will write those items down on another list so that I can call it in later, and at another time, and it's not the end of the world. I wanted everything this time. I'm not going to be able to get it this time because they're out. And then so she's learned to cope with that. And these are the things. This is what's sad, because I know there's a lot of people out there who go, because my friend here, she was just diagnosed last year. She thinks her mom was now. A lot of us look back. Like I'm thinking my sister might be. I think my father could have been. There was something different. There's something different about us and his father, which it follows those kind of patterns. So now she's getting ready. Okay, this is just waking up and confirming that she can go to the grocery store. So she gets ready. Executive functioning. If she's able to pull it all together, so to speak, if she's able to manage all of this, because if her executive functioning, this is why it's important to have. She had to go through with, okay, there's an item that's out. If her executive functioning was down and she didn't have a strategy for what to do, that could be the end of her day. Maybe she's not that sensitive, but that would take X amount of energy, way out of proportion to what you would say just the event was that threw her out of balance. So what does she do? Okay, her executive functioning is off, and for a known or unknown reason, she said sometimes it helps just have a cup of coffee to get the energy, to get mentally more stimulated, and being able to cope better. Or she'll stim some way, and she wrote, "I'll put on music, put music on and sing." That is a detachment. That is a, okay, I can't handle this now. Let me detach from that. I can't function with that. I'm just not able right now to mentally to solve these problems. So it's just building. The stress is just building. So I'm going to do something so I can lower the stress. That's what stimming is all about. At least in this circumstance. On time, or if I'm on time, it's fine. Running late, do phone calls. If there's phone calls or somebody else, okay. If I'm interrupted by phone calls or interrupted by somebody else, somebody come to the door, whatever, while I'm getting ready, that didn't come out right. Running late, somebody calls, or if I get some sort of interruption, somebody come in the door or whatever, while I'm getting ready. Again, thrown off, okay. Only attend to important messages and leave others till later, okay. Basically, the phone rings, I'm not going to answer it. I don't have to. I mean, these are the kind of things that, it sounds so simple. What are we taught? What are we conditioned? The phone rings, you're supposed to go answer it. Someone comes to the door, you're supposed to go answer it. It's the exceptions to the rules. That's one reason autistic people are so rule bound, is that is how we maintain balance. This happens. This is what I expect to happen as a consequence. This is how I can balance it out. You start screwing around with the rules and saying, well, don't worry about it this time. That can be as bad as the rule itself. It's saying, what do you mean, don't worry about it this time? What about the next time? Do I have to worry about it then, or don't I? And I know. It can be a mess at times. Okay, we're finally ready. We're going to go to the store. Is it natural lighting, or is it really dim lighting in there? Will they be able to see, or is it going to be too bright? This is her vision. This is the overstimulation of visual. Okay, I've read this wrong. If the store has natural lighting, or if it's dim lighting, okay. If there's fluorescent lighting, which bothered me too as a kid, every once in a while I'll walk to the store and I'll get this very weird perceptual overload of it's just like I don't know how it's I've got some strange things going on with my vision anyway. And I'm not even going to try to go off on that tangent. But she found out wearing sunglasses in the store can help. Okay, is the store quiet? That's a thumbs up. We're in the green. Lots of noise, loud music, children screaming, things like that. That's enough to. It's just like it's that fight flight again. It goes into the body going, I can't handle this. I got to get out of this. I've got to get away from this, or I've got to stop this. I'm going to strangle the little kid, or turn off the music, or whoever's making noise, tell them to shut up. That's fight. Flight is get the heck out of the store. Freeze is, and I think I may have said this before, but this is what I did as a kid. I froze. Because I won't go into my situation as a kid, but I was not able, that was my one choice that was left, is I couldn't deal with it. I was in a situation of being very controlled, and if I was to express it through anger or crying or something, I wasn't allowed. Okay? So what is your choice? You sit there quietly, and you try to figure out ways to not engage with whatever the issue is. Normal wait time in the aisles. Hey, things are going well. I mean, I'm assuming that makes everybody about ready to melt down is in the store in the lines. But if there's a long wait at the counter, that's bad. Find some sort of a distraction she has. She can do it by reading, maybe pick up a magazine or a newsletter or something, and it's just like, okay. And we talked about this too, and that is people standing close to you, and it's like, that's a stress. It's like, what are you doing behind me? And I was telling her, I said, well, I found what I do, because I guess it does bother me too. And that is, I will either put the cart behind me and take stuff out, so it's between me and the person behind me, and that means that I can gauge the distance between me and the next person. So that was my strategy in working with that. Normal wait time. Was it quick? Was it a quick, quick in and out and just getting the essentials, or was it this long process where all this other stuff that she has under control doesn't mean it's not bothering her, but she's got a coping strategy going. But if it's a long time in the shop, that's when she will. She can go in and out for pick up a few things, but if it's anything in quantity, she orders it and have them pull it so she can just pick it up. Take a shopping list. So that that lowers the stress, because if you start getting overwhelmed and then you're forgetting what you want, and then then the stress increases, and it's that slippery slope to where your coping and your stress just keep going down, and you're not able to deal with it, so your regular energy just goes down to the floor. Is the store at a comfortable temperature? So it's another temperature issue. If it's too cold, I've heard this a number of times, and actually, it bothers me. I guess I just assume that it bothers everybody, but that feeling of the cold is more like, the only way I can describe it is it's. And this is like, say, I'm mild. I know a woman in Canada who is so sensitive to temperature in the stores that her body reaction is her lips will actually turn blue. She's that kind of a reaction. Her body is going shut down. I mean, there's a homeostasis at your body you can't control. It's an instinctual reaction that your body has, whether you're need oxygen and you start gasping for air, and then you start, your body takes over. If you're hungry, the things that you'll do to eat or to drink. I had, this is a tangent, but I had a guy that I know who was over in Haiti after the earthquake, and I don't know how many years ago that was, 10, 15 years ago, and he was there as part of the National Guard. Or the Army, I forget, might have been, whatever. But he was saying people were killing for water. There was not, because you can't drink salt water. You can't, and I'm not, and I'm people. He was there as a police, and because I mean people were losing it. People were losing it because their level of desperation was getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and they started becoming more instinctual. They started becoming reacting, instead of thinking, and that is that level of desperation, that level of where the body's taking over, I think is a lot easier for autistic people to get into. I'm not saying that people become murderous that are autistic because they're cold. I'm saying that the body is responding as though it is is in seriously grave circumstances. I'm just going to quickly go through these. And but anyway, so store temperature. Then it's talking about interaction with others. If she has brief, pleasant interactions with the staff and everyone, that's okay. But if she's waiting at the counter, or if she has to engage in more, she has to then starts creating physical distances. She has to try to avoid those situations. Look busy reading a magazine. Leave to buy other groceries while waiting. It's like, oh wait, I forgot something. I'll get away from that situation. But I'm just going to end it there because I don't think we need to go into all of it. Afterwards, just driving directly home or whether or not. And so this is the whole idea with the balance. And hopefully this was a tool that will help some people who will get some concepts across, so that when they look at something, when you say stress and you think something little, it may be, this is the killer. This is the 500 gram, which my scale will not, actually it will do 5 pounds, but it won't do it internally. There's actually some weights on the front here too. So anyway, this was the concept that I wanted to try to refine as a presentation. So I'm doing this, and I would like to get your feedback. Tell me what worked, what didn't work, and I know tangents I try not to do, but I do. And hopefully they weren't too bad. It's when I get so far off track that I can't come back, that's when it's bad. Well, this was Autism in the Balance. This is part of my AASD journey. I thank all of you who are members or subscribers for subscribing. And I do want your feedback if you have feedback. And until the next meeting, until the next program, I wish you a good day. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.